I said I know who it is.
Who?
It's Jason Voorhees.
Jason Voorhees!
Welcome to Second Class Cinema, the show where we watch a B-movie and immediately discuss. I am Tom. I'm here with Eric, Brittany, and Brandon, first-time guest.
Hello.
How are you?
Hello.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Thanks for coming.
Here.
Thanks for coming and bringing the movie we watched, which was the Friday the 13th special, the fifth one, A New Beginning.
Ooh.
This was a special
And
movie.
boy, is it special.
It's pretty goddamn special.
So before we go into explaining the movie, Brandon, why don't you tell us what your, thing with B-movie is?
So, I can't really describe that.
It's my life.
It really is. Less of my life now than it once was, but I've been collecting movies since I was a baby. I have a bunch of shitty movies. I know a lot about shitty movies.
Yeah.
And that's about it. I love the genre. I prefer B movies to A movies. I don't know. There's really not much else to it. I like the fucking Dookie. Dookie
I
movie.
feel like B movies try harder, but sometimes they don't try
Not
hard
in
at
the
all.
case of Friday the 13th Part 5.
Yeah, I don't think I tried very hard. I guess this was kind of just a special pick because it's Friday the 13th, and we
Happy
decided
Friday the 13th.
we decided we just do this.
And the first one was too obvious of a choice because
Yeah.
it's just, although it is cult month, so technically we could have gotten away with
I think
reviewing that.
Jason is cult, period. So I think
True. Yeah.
touching the genre, period, is good enough.
True. And we wanted to do like the wackiest one of the series, barring Jason X, which is just terrible.
I don't think
In
Jason X
your
is that
opinion.
bad. It's not that bad.
I think it's the worst of the series. But
Worse than this movie
5?
we watched tonight.
absolutely. No, I think Jason X is
It's
way
worse than
Oh,
Fuck.
yeah, me too.
Way worse
That's
than
what I
this
was
movie.
saying. I hate Jason X.
Well, this
It's
movie
really
had a
bad.
certain charm to it. What was it about? Eric, do you want to give this one a shot?
No.
I was
just going to say,
your perspective.
because I don't really have a background with these movies like you guys do. I don't know much about Friday the 13th. When you had mentioned we were going to do this, we were going to watch Friday the 13th Part 4, so I'd have some perspective. And I said, that's Dream Warriors, right? Wrong number, wrong series, wrong song.
Well, I think 4 was just too good. Like,
Yeah.
4 is the best of the series, and 5, in some people's eyes, is the worst. So it probably wouldn't work well for what we're about to do.
I can definitely see the difference in quality. 4, even though it's not necessarily something I have the context for, it definitely seems somewhat like a very well put together horror movie from the mid '80s.
Yeah, we
While-
did watch most
right.
of it the other day,
Yeah.
so you got a good glimpse of that.
And then while 5, on the other hand, looks like, what did you say the budget was? It was a couple million, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a couple million. And the thing that is really strange to me is that with many of these series, like they're trying to push the envelope through the series. Like they're trying, like in the Nightmare on Elm Street series, which is probably like the sister series to Friday the 13th. They're like constantly pushing the envelope with special effects and trying to make it bigger and better. With this, it's like 5 steps down from the movie before it, and probably a bigger budget. I just don't get it.
Well,
Where did the money go?
Yeah, weren't you saying that that they had initially gone pretty far with the gore and then had to dial it back?
Well,
Was
yeah,
that
but
something that
we
happened?
saw the gore that ended up on camera. It was pretty low quality to begin with.
That-
So even if that's where they put their money,
Well, yeah.
they didn't have Savini on this one. That's for
No, definitely not.
All right, let me backtrack for a second so we can cover what this movie's about.
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
he capped it before we started. Jason quote kills people.
Yeah,
Jason kills
that's true.
people.
I always thought it picked up right up where 4 left off, but now I'm realizing that it was like years later because how old was Tommy Jarvis in 4? Like 12?
But Corey Feldman is in there for like 2 seconds at the same age he's supposed to be in 4.
True. But I
that's
think
a flashback,
yeah,
right?
or like a dream
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, where we know
You
this.
feel free to talk about what the movie's about.
Basically, Tommy
Here.
Jarvis from 4, who was previously Corey Feldman, and now is some dude who looks like the guy from Troll 2. He's in like a group, like a halfway house. Is that what we would call it? For like
troubled
Troubled
adolescents.
youth.
Yeah.
Yeah, why would we have a campground?
For troubled youths.
Why would we have a campground of troubled youth?
Allowed to chop wood, nonetheless.
Yeah, let's give
of
them
all
axes.
different types. Like, we had nymphomaniacs. We had a kid with a stutter. That was his disorder. Like,
But I feel like he also had like rage problems. Did he have like stutter-induced
a fat
rage?
kid. He was fat. That was his problem.
He was literally covered in
and dumb.
chocolate. Yeah.
the fat dummy.
The goth lady doing the robot dances in her room.
Oh, my, yeah.
Look at her.
Yeah, so Jason, quote unquote, just unleashes fury on a new household, basically, is the rundown of this movie.
Yeah, it's standard plot just with a new cast of characters.
Special education camp.
Yeah, you could go that far. All right, so we're laughing, we're having a good time. What did this movie do right?
You know what? I liked the side characters. Like all the victims, I felt were like really fun characters.
Yeah.
And these kind of like montage slasher movies, I never feel like any of the characters. I'm just like, oh, good, he's dead. He can finally stop talking. In this movie, even though they were kind of like lame caricatures in a way, they were still a lot of fun. Like there was like the mustache, like party rocker guy that was snorting cocaine.
Yep.
He was like just a total player, but like he's balding and he looks like my.
He was there only to be killed.
Yeah, only to be killed. But like that guy was a lot of fun. There was the guy in the trailer park with all the leather. That guy was really cool. He was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Probably my favorite part of the
Demon.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were all very colorful.
Yeah, really great characters, I think.
And I wish they had got more screen time.
Right. But then we'd have a 3-hour-long Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's-
about people that don't matter, right?
Right,
You know
right.
what? I think I'm glad you brought that up because I feel like a strength of this movie is how short it is. It's an hour and 22 minutes, roughly.
They're all so short.
And
Yeah.
it goes by so fast, though. Like, going back and watching the original Friday the 13th now, because I've seen it so many times,
It's
probably,
slower.
it's endless.
Yeah.
It just never is over. But I felt like that was a really good thing about this. As dumb as it was and as stupid as the plot was, it actually was well paced. Like, you didn't really have to
Yeah.
be bored.
Yeah, it just kept going. And, I mean, there's also a big difference between a movie that came out in 1980 and 1985 as well.
For sure.
Definitely,
Pacing, that was like a huge pacing shift in movie making.
I think it speaks to what, by 1985, by the fifth Friday the 13th movie,
Yeah.
what the Friday the 13th audience was going for by that point. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that in 1980 there was that. There wasn't the slasher movie audience the way there was later on.
True.
So by 85, it's like, let's go see a movie where a bunch of people get killed. And I think that's really what they were going for here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
think there's
kind of
23 murders in this movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's weird that they kind of have to cater to the audience that they created.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And have an asinine movie with like nothing really going on.
Zero substance at all.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the perfect adjective to describe this as asinine.
Hey, what I do think the movie did right, there's a few things. I think that they really tried to push the envelope as far as, while staying within that kind of confine of slasher movie audience, they also tried to push the boundaries of what the four movies that came before it were doing. Mm-hmm. They failed miserably, but
But they tried.
Swinging for
Yeah.
the fences.
yeah, the cast as a horror movie fan is awesome. There's tons of B-list, B-movie horror actors in this movie. A shitload from Return of the Living Dead. Well, not a shitload, but two, which came out.
Might as well be like.
But I mean, for a movie that came out like literally either a month later or before it, in the same year, to have the same two actors, it's kind of weird.
What's that guy's name? The guy that plays Demon?
Miguel Nunez
Yes. Okay.
or Nunes, I don't know, I can't remember. But and then Juliet Cummins from Slumber Party Massacre 2.
Oh, wait. Yeah, because, that's right.
That's why we started talking about.
Yeah,
that.
we solved this conundrum. The sorority house massacre 2 is flashing back to Slumber Party Massacre
One.
1. Okay.
Yeah.
That all makes sense.
The tone of the movie is a lot different than most of the Friday the 13th movies. It's a grimier, sleazier, yuckier movie. It's and those are the things I like about it. I can't really say much else because there's a lot of shitty stuff.
Yeah, this movie was like as greasy as Demon's hair, man.
As
Now,
what?
It was greasy as Demon's hair.
Oh yeah.
Oily
Definitely.
Jerry curls.
now, I'm not terribly familiar with the Friday the 13th series. Does Jason usually just kill indiscriminately, or does he usually at least have like a vague justification?
So
'Cause I know he doesn't. I know he doesn't like fucking. That's about the
He
extent of
doesn't
my
like fucking. Not one
You're
bit.
dead.
Yeah.
He doesn't like fucking partying, happiness. You know.
All right.
No.
He's a real buzzkill,
So
to be honest.
he was supposedly he drowned while kids were supposed to be like some camp counselor teenagers were supposed to be watching him, and they were fucking instead. So that explains his.
That's where that comes from.
Yeah.
But then, like, for some of the other kills in this movie, I didn't get any sense of justification, so I just wasn't sure if that was a part of his character. Yeah, okay, all right, so you agree.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there'll be vague, like, threads tying people together. Like, if you survived one movie, you're probably going to get killed in the next movie. But, I mean, as far as justification, no, not really.
Okay.
Like the chicken coop shit cleaner guy,
Yes, exactly. He showed up to clean that lady's chicken coop,
And then he got killed in the next scene
watched
he was
people
in.
fuck for like 4 seconds, and then just got killed immediately.
that's it.
No watching fucking either.
Yeah,
Just
right.
agrees it.
No happiness.
In all fairness, he probably should have been that guy with like the leather hat who looked like Randy Quaid. He probably should have got killed at that point, but they wanted him to do that scene later where he rode his dirt bike around.
Oh, he was doing
furiously.
donuts. Yeah, with his
So
donuts.
they were
You
like,
mentioned
we
while we
can't
were
kill him
watching
yet.
it that he gave it his all, and I can agree with that.
Yeah.
He was a pretty good actor.
No, he nailed it, man. He was
And Ethel
snotty.
too. Ethel is
yeah.
one of my
So
favorite parts of the
Ethel
movie.
was awesome.
Shut the fuck up.
In terms of successes, can I just say whoever's writing the disses in this movie was fucking amazing.
Oh, they were on that day.
You big dildo is maybe one of my favorite insults in movie
I'm gonna
screen
use
history.
that.
Yeah, that's good. Was that Vi?
I think that was one of Ethel's.
That was Ethel.
Oh, nice.
Vi didn't really have a whole lot to do in this movie besides the dance sequence.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little weird.
And get pissed when she set the table wrong.
Oh
Yeah, that's right.
Like
She did get upset.
true.
Oh, what about when the lady... The lady who was with the cocaine guy, when she just like opened her shirt and like showed her tits to herself and was like, "It's showtime." Why?
You know, like you do.
Yeah.
Just to have more tits in the movie, you know, because that was the other thing the audience
3 and
was
4, or
looking
was that
for.
1 and 2?
That was those were the first tits we saw.
1 and 2, yeah. We have a tit
yeah.
count going.
Yeah, we got up to 6 in this one.
Came short of our guess of 7.
Yeah.
Should
Almost.
we gloss over the various failures of this movie?
Yeah, let's we could touch on some failures, but I mean let's get into it, yeah.
Do we have more successes?
Yeah, well, there's one.
There's one more.
Corey Feldman's in it
Oh, yeah, that's
Corey.
right.
That is a wild
for like a
success.
half second, but he's still there. It's important.
I feel like I would have liked this movie more if it took place immediately after 4 and Corey Feldman was still in it and he was Tommy Jarvis and he was still like 12.
And that is a perfect segue into failures, if you ask me.
Failure.
Because what the fuck with that new actor that plays Tommy Jarvis?
Coincidentally, one of the failures is that Corey Feldman is only in it for 5 seconds.
Yes, yes. And the new guy, like, he didn't do anything. He cried and got greasy and
Hillbog!
punched shit. He had a stand-in kung fu sequence under a trailer park neon sign.
That's right.
Oh, he did have that one awesome table slam.
Oh, he body slammed.
That was good.
That was awesome.
That dude got space jammed.
That's a strength.
Welcome to the slam. Right there.
That is a strength.
The slam is a strength. Slam strength.
Yeah. So where else did this movie kind of fall short in its attempts?
I
Well.
think in its embodiment of Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah. so
definitely.
Clearly.
we could just go ahead and go out and say that it was not Jason at all. It was the ambulance driver
Yeah.
Yeah.
that we saw very briefly in the beginning of this movie.
He's in it for 2 scenes, and then he's the killer.
Yeah, his son gets killed in the beginning, and you don't know it's his son, or that he even has a family at all. And then
Does he even have a line?
in the end, they're like, "Oh my
He
god, he
does.
has a picture of him in his wallet."
Yeah, like the most up-to-date picture of his son. Who he
they took it the
straight
day
son.
before he got chopped.
It was like a portrait too, man. It was
He
so
swung by. He knew he was getting chopped. He swung by, took the picture.
Just want to take this before you die.
Right.
Paper thin.
No, he did
Real
have a
bad.
line. He did have a line. He was like, "Officer, it wasn't me."
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. The fucking stupidest line ever.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I don't remember that.
No, he was just
he was
being
like-
really obviously
Oh,
like,
are you
"Ugh."
talking
yeah.
to me,
When they were
officer?
picking up the body.
No, after that, when they found the bodies of the 2
The two greasers.
Yeah, the greasers.
I guess. I don't know. Who
Questionably
those guys are
gay
supposed
greasers.
The cat diner. Oh,
yeah.
not the cat diner
What does he say?
people.
No.
Okay.
He was just like, oh, I didn't do it. I don't know. Like,
to be. He's like, you talking to me, officer? I didn't do anything.
huh?
What's that, Sonny?
So conspicuous.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that part did not work, man. That must have upset a lot of people when they saw that.
I
For the first time.
When the killer killed these guys, he did a real good job of it. He did a good job.
you know, there's a lot of goddamn weaknesses.
How about the lack of gore
Absolutely.
and death scenes?
Yeah.
So there's 23 kills and they're all off screen. Like,
Yeah,
I
you
think
don't
two
see-
are on screen.
Yeah. Viga, you see her get stabbed.
And you, the cocaine guy, the guy, you see the back of his head get hit.
Yeah, but it's like
kind of.
a split second. And these are movies that are known for their gore content.
Yeah.
I mean, or at least innovative kills. Like, there's some really great kills in the first 4 movies. And then for the 5th one to wimp out with, like, pretty much everything.
Yeah, it's just a lot of high angle shots of a machete coming
Yeah,
down
yeah.
from the sky.
That's really weird to me because it seems like such a severe cutback. And I know they had issues with like the rating and everything, but I feel like they
Yeah.
cut so much of it. Like, was that necessary?
So, I mean, 4 was like a smash success and was probably the goriest of the series up to that point. So the MPAA, when 5 was coming out, they were like, fuck this. And, I mean, the director of the movie he was in porn and, like, really...
He was in porn?
No, like, he was a porn director.
In the
and-
biz?
In the biz, and, like, known for sleazier low-grade stuff.
Oh, that's why this movie felt so dirty.
Yeah, right.
Makes sense, yeah.
That's why we have like the cokehead mustache pimp guy,
Freddie
yes.
Mercury, who shows up for one scene.
greasy demon dude.
No, I thought he was the other ambulance driver.
Oh yeah, he was.
Oh, yeah.
he was.
Yeah,
You're right.
Yeah.
Everyone
But I mean, the
looks
characters
fucking
all in
same
general.
in this movie.
Yeah, right. Because the other ambulance driver was like bunch of pussies when when he's like discovering a mauled lump of flesh.
That seems to be like a running theme in horror movies where like the EMT drivers are like the nurses, just like, yeah, whatever, I'm just going to eat my sandwich. At this
Yeah,
crime
what
scene.
movie is it where the EMT driver is eating a sandwich? And while he's like, what is that? That needs to come to me. Yeah, the gore content is really low. That's where I was going with that. And it was supposed to be much higher.
Yeah, that's what when I was like reading up on this and doing my brief research. It said that it cut so much because it had more nudity and violence than like any of the other ones. But as I was reading it, I was like, that's really funny because I don't remember any explicit violence or nudity in this. Like, you see a bunch of boobs, but
I mean,
who cares at this point?
even in the movies that succeeded it, it's probably one of the more tame Friday the 13th movies
Exactly.
in the end.
3 pairs of
yeah.
tits in the 80s? That's crazy.
right.
That's a fucking low tit count.
It's the 80s, doll.
3 pairs of tits and blood splash hair and a blood splash there. It's
Although, who was the dude who got chopped up? Joey?
Joey, yep.
And they showed his like dead body. That was cool. That was like the best gore in the
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
It was just like a pile of
I like the
yeah.
head crush. The head crush on the tree.
Oh, what
That was
the leather belt thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could have been better.
I think
thought
it once
gonna,
was until the
I was hoping
MPAA.
it was going to be like one of those videos where people put like 1,000 elastics around a watermelon and then it explodes. But then it was just like, oh,
Could have been.
the
Guess
belt
he's dead
broke.
now.
Yes, he's dead. Ugh, cheap.
I like Demon's death too.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was
yeah,
really
where he
nice.
kind of gets, he's getting
The sticks through the knee.
Through
or-
the, yeah.
In the shit.
Yeah, in the shitter.
No, speaking of speaking of the failures as the villain, my assumption is that Jason in the first 4 movies, he's sort of supernatural, like in concepts.
Well-
like does he have like super strength?
Not
or-
within the first 4.
Not within the first 4. okay.
No, so
comes
he wasn't
later.
even in
I
the
was
first
actually
one.
wondering that too because I'm pretty familiar with it. But isn't it that he didn't actually die? And then he's around for like a little bit, and
Yes.
then he dies, and then comes back from like hell.
And
or-
after this movie is when he returns.
He has to, because he had died at 4.
He is dead in 4.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
done.
Tommy kills him.
Tommy Jarvis.
Chippity chops him.
He machetes
Chop,
him.
chop, chop.
Yes.
So in
choppy.
2, 3, and 4, he's like the super buff dude who's like just really strong. That's the concept.
He's essentially a deformed. He's like a backwoods retard.
Yeah, he's like a
deformed-
mongoloid
Yeah.
who basically has just been living in the woods at Camp Crystal Lake for the
Yeah.
last 20 years.
But in the first movie, he doesn't exist.
Right.
Yeah,
it's his mother, right?
It's
Until the
El
secret
Madre.
shock ending.
Okay. So, to that point, and you guys have mentioned it several times, Jason's super skinny in this movie because he's just this middle-aged EMT driver.
Schlub, yeah.
Why is he? How can he like commit all these like crazy murders that require like super strength? It
I
doesn't
don't
make
know.
any sense.
I
Like,
don't. You know what
it
else?
doesn't pan
He
out.
doesn't really do anything in the movie, though, that illustrates that he has super strength or that he is superhuman.
No, he did nothing.
He gets hit with a bulldozer.
Yeah, he gets injured a couple
all.
of times.
That's true. He did get hit with a bulldozer.
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
And a chainsaw, I think.
Yep.
Oh yeah, he got chainsaw too.
Bulldozer.
Reggie
Right
was
at the
driving.
end.
Reggie
Yeah.
does it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, of course, Reggie to the rescue.
People walk away from car accidents.
Not from a bulldozer.
That's a little extreme. One of the things I thought failed was continuity. Sorry, I can't read my own handwriting.
Buys makeup.
Yeah, this movie was a continuity nightmare.
It's
man.
on, it's off, it's on, it's off.
Yeah, right.
It's
Yeah.
super goth.
Now I don't know if that was due to reshooting because they had to. Maybe they only shot for one gory scene. I don't know if they had to go back and do some stuff
I
or.
think
Yeah.
that's giving them way too much credit.
I don't
think
know.
so.
It had a big budget, so I don't know if there was. But
They, I mean, I think that half of that budget went to like
had like Mark
ham and cheese or something.
Craft service.
Yeah,
And
craft
lots.
services and naps, like
Maybe.
waterbed naps.
they dined like kings throughout this whole movie.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't know where else their budget went. I think it was well over $1 million.
That was real cocaine in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
That was only like just a smidge of their budget. Smidge of budge.
Just to speak to the major weakness in the grand scheme of things is where this fits in the Friday the 13th story arc.
Yes.
Which is nowhere.
Right. It doesn't. That is the problem. I mean, 4 was supposed to be the final chapter, thus the title. And it should have been, if you ask me, because it's the finest hour of the movie. There's a few good sequels after it, but it doesn't get better than that.
The series would be so good.
Right, it was just 1, 2, 3, 4. Right.
Yeah.
Though I mean, which in itself has some serious issues, but we're not going to talk about that
They
right now.
never know when to quit.
So for 4 to be the death of Jason, and then 5, it's a fucking ambulance driver. Like, can you imagine? You're a Friday the 13th fan in 1985, and you're so stoked that your favorite film series, this new movie's coming out. It was supposed to be the final chapter. You get there, and it's the fucking ambulance driver.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh my goodness! I remember being bummed when I was a kid. Like, who is that guy? I remember being like, who is he taking the spot of my dude Jason?
That would seem like a monumental disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, I really feel like it was probably the turning point to the demise of the series as we know it.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't set the stage well for all the sequels after that. Unless it made some of the sequels that came after it feel better because this one was so bad when they brought it back. You know, you can look at it both ways.
I mean, prior to Jason X, the general fan consensus was that 5 and 8, which is where Jason takes Manhattan.
Is that the legitimate title of it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Jason Takes
Okay, I
Manhattan.
Yeah.
thought so.
But most of it is on a boat.
You know,
The
And then
Muppets
he
were
gets
busy
to
in Manhattan.
Like in the
I was
end,
gonna say
right?
I made a poster a long time ago. Muppets vs. Jason. Winner takes Manhattan.
Right. Exactly. Jason isn't supposed to go to Manhattan. The Muppets are.
Wait, who took it first?
Muppets did, I believe.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty
So
sure.
then
Or maybe
Jason-
the same year. Maybe
Jason took it
89.
from
Your
them.
favorite film year.
Oh, the best film year
Let's
around.
find out.
Well, I'm just saying, if the Muppets took Manhattan from Jason, he's a bitch. He's straight up bitch.
I don't know, man.
ass.
Animal's an animal.
Animal's a manimal.
You are a wordsmith.
I do's what I cans. I have one quick weakness I'd like to throw out there is
Okay.
I think this movie always has a really cool like opening card, right? It always has like a really cool title graphic This one was terrible.
I don't even remember.
I don't remember
so
it.
That speaks to it.
It's because usually it's kind of memorable, right? Usually it
There's
kind of
like
does
an
something
exploding
cool.
mask or flies through a window.
When we were watching 4, I remember you had never seen it, and you were like, "Well, that was cool." Rewind that. It was like an explosion.
Yeah,
behind
it's
the
so
mask.
Yeah, explosion.
the title like breaks through the mask, and it's like so cool. And this one was just so lame. I
Like the
don't even
mask-
remember it either. I just remember it being lame.
I think the mask just comes in and then it kind of rotates, so you're like looking behind it.
Yeah,
Symbolism. I don't know.
Of note, if that's something that you care about, 6 has the best one.
Oh, that is something I care about.
6 has the best title sequence.
Oh,
Did you rip
goodness.
6 too?
I'll give you a hint. James Bond.
What?
Well, that's exciting.
I think the entire end of this movie is a weakness, to be honest.
Which ending? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
There's only like 32 endings.
The whole gosh darn thing as a whole is just gosh awful. Yeah, it ends like 30 times. It's like, "Didn't oh, that was just a dream. Didn't oh, that was just a dream. Didn't
They like knew that the movie sucked, so they kept trying to be like, "Well, this ending's fucking terrible, so let's do it again. Let's try something better."
But instead of cutting out the other
and then,
ending,
like, it's like a little kid making a movie. Like, I don't really like this one, and then they try again and again, and they fail every time. And they're
It's
just
worse
like, Fuck
and
it.
worse.
instead of just using one, they used all of them.
Yeah, I mean, Ambulance
We'll
Driver,
decide which
Fade
ones
to
came
Black,
later.
fine. That's where it should have ended,
I
if you
know,
ask
right?
me.
Where?
Like it's the Ambulance Driver. I mean, that's such a huge disappointment.
Yeah, well, then you're gonna let people like linger on that moment in the credits. Like, are you fucking serious?
I'm
Yeah,
not
right.
saying 6.
Yeah, that would have been really cheap.
I bet you.
And I bet that was probably their first inkling. And then they were like, we can't just do that. Let's have 9 more endings.
And then they ended it with that one dream sequence, and they were like, "Wait, that's how the first one ends. Fuck, we have to film another one."
right.
Oh, no.
And 2 and 3. They were the same. A dream sequence.
Oh yeah,
Wait a
that
minute.
was-
Jason did it.
That was weak. Yeah, and Tommy is a good guy, and all of a sudden, at the very final second,
And that
he's-
contradicts the whole movie we just saw.
I
Yeah.
know, it doesn't make any sense at all.
right.
and it's never addressed ever again. If I'm not,
Absolutely
yeah,
not.
never.
fun fact, again, in 6, Tommy Jarvis comes back as a different actor. 5 never happened.
The guy who plays him as an adult.
It's a different actor. Like 5 is just
What?
not even acknowledged. He's a sane character. He's fine. It was great.
in
What?
6.
Yep.
Oh, so wait,
They just ignore 5.
so this movie never happened
Yep.
whatsoever.
Right. Just like part 2 of Nightmare on Elm Street, like I was saying
Just-
earlier.
Well, is it because do you think they like had a horror movie script and just went, all right, let's just stick Jason in?
I'll say more on that later, sir.
Saving that for favorite parts.
Yes, I do think that. But yes, and I think that if this movie was a standalone movie,
It would be great.
it would be a much more highly regarded movie than what it is. But
And I mean, also having the Friday the 13th label on it at the time probably didn't do it any justice because then
There's an
they
expectation.
would just and it was under the microscope. So I mean, if they didn't have that title, then they might have been able to get away with a lot more. And yeah, I mean, I like this movie.
Yeah.
I feel bad for anyone, well, not only just the fans who must have gone to see this expecting something awesome, but the
Yeah.
people who maybe missed the first 4 movies and they were like, I'll just go see this. And then they saw that movie and it turned them off from exploring the rest of the series. That is terrible. And I'm sure that's happened to a bunch of people.
I mean, if you look at the box office returns for the rest of the series, from here on out, it was just down. And as far as I'm concerned, 7 is probably the best of the later movies. That's where he fights a telekinetic girl.
That sounds awesome.
And it was directed by special effects guru John Carl Buechler. And it was also supposed to be super gory. And there's some really, really good special effects sequences in it. It's probably the best of the later sequels, but 6 is too hokey. 6 is like making fun of itself because they just came off 5.
I
And
would say
they
they had
probably
to, like,
didn't
save
feel like they
face.
had a choice.
Yeah, they kind of had to
I'm
address that.
very unfamiliar with the franchise beyond 5. I don't know. I think
mean,
I've seen
as a
6.
whole-
I don't think I've seen 7 or 8 or 9.
There's a lot of them. So
Yeah.
Jason X was 10, right?
yeah.
Yes.
So everything between like 6 and 10, I think I missed
It's
out
vague, and they're not remarkable movies. But I think that of the like horror like franchises, this one has the least continuity. This one has the least
Spine.
Yeah, there's nothing really to it besides Jason kills people.
Yeah, I actually wrote that down. I wrote bogus motive because there really is none.
For fucking 15 movies or whatever. You know? Like, I mean, at least the other series try to have some sort of, like, this makes sense for us to have a sequel.
Yeah.
It doesn't really exist with the Friday the 13th movies.
Yeah, I can buy that. Do we have any more weaknesses, risks, before we move on to favorite parts?
The biggest risk is that Jason isn't in the movie.
Yeah, that
That's
really
the
is
biggest risk they took.
I was going to
Yeah.
say calling it a Friday the 13th movie.
It was a risk, yeah. Even attaching that to it, really.
And if you really think about it, they probably wouldn't have ever gotten the movie made if it wasn't called Friday the 13th Part 5.
Yeah. If this was called, Hospital Driver Massacre, it would be a very middling B horror movie.
Oh, man, if that was the case, actually, it'd probably be a lot better. Because then you know what to expect.
If you see that title, you're going to watch it.
I would.
I think that if it wasn't a part of the series, I think it probably would have been a better movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it holds up. So,
Yeah.
what are some favorite parts then? What parts do we particularly enjoy from this?
More about the characters. Vi is the shit.
Makes sense.
Demon is the shit. Like, the characters are my favorite part of the movie. The soundtrack is pretty cool. There's some cool stuff going on in the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Vi is what I would want to be if I was like a teenager in 1985.
Hell fucking
Me too.
yeah.
And not
I'd want to be Demon.
and not born in 1986.
Yeah, right. How weird is that? We're all sitting around, doing this about a movie that came out before we were born.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, talking shit when this was probably, like, the shit when, if you were, like, 20 or something when this came out.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
yeah.
Well, compared to some of the garbage. Of,
Yeah, a lot of garbage
Of
came
lately?
out. 85, I think, is a pretty bad movie year.
What else came out? Anything even notable?
Well, I mean, in the genre. At least in the genre.
Yes.
There's some seminal films that came out in 85. The Breakfast Club.
A View to a Kill.
Sure.
I'm going to throw out a favorite part, and it's going to be just kind of like an overarching favorite part, which is the character of Reggie.
Reggie.
Reggie's good.
The
Yeah.
best part, arguably, of this movie, I think.
His
I
selling
agree.
point,
A,
for sure.
a useful kid in a movie. You don't see that too often, even though we've seen it a couple times recently, but it's not something you see too often.
Yeah.
He was
it's
supposed to
true.
come back in 6, but he refused the script because they were going to kill him off.
No way.
Yeah.
Reggie.
Well, that was their
You know what?
mistake for killing him off.
disappointment
Well, right. I
to
agree.
fans
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah. They don't exist anymore.
That's true.
And I feel like he was like a really good child actor too. When I see a child actor, I'm usually expecting something not particularly good. But I mean, this, at least what I've seen from the series so far, this has like a good tradition of hiring good child actors that can actually like
I can
have
agree
some
with
screen
that.
presence, and I actually want to see them on screen as to being like, oh god, when is this going to be over?
Yeah.
True. And
Hold
they are
on.
very useful. They don't just sit around and wait to be killed, generally.
Yeah, they're pretty much always useful.
Pretty resourceful as far as
Good job,
children
kids.
go. Gold star.
Yeah.
Can I say my favorite part is after Junior, Ethel's son, and Tommy get into their fight at the trailer park, and then Junior rides his dirt bike back to his house,
Just laps.
and he's like, "They hurt me, Mama!" And he just does like donuts on his dirt bike and like drives over their old like
Square foot
white
backyard.
trash porch. Before Jason clotheslines him off his motorcycle with like a machete.
Yeah.
That is my favorite part, I think.
That's a really great part, actually.
It was so overacted.
was really good.
It was so overacted and irritating. It was just perfect.
He was irritating.
Wicked
I
irritating.
love the ooh baby
with his
part.
fucking black teeth.
Oh, yeah?
I love the bathroom sequence.
Shit
It becomes a musical for a bit.
Ooh, baby. Hey, baby.
Yeah. The great lines.
Is that like a real song?
No.
No. They weren't even
They were
doing
going to
it.
pay for the rights to a real song. They were just say ooh baby. That's in a lot of songs.
They didn't even do it together, man. Those were
Right.
like two. They were like running on the
Probably
same
shot them in
set.
different weeks.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. That was great.
That's good. Eric, what about you?
I like the entirety of Joey's arc in the movie because
The whole thing, huh?
he reminded. Well, he was only in it for like 3 minutes. He reminded me very favorably of a character that we enjoyed from Memorial Valley Massacre,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is a movie we're never going to watch again because it's terrible.
It was bad.
Did you guys do an episode on that?
no.
we watched
We
it a long
watched that
time
like
ago.
2 years ago
All
or
right.
Yeah.
something.
No, it wasn't.
We just
Good
remember
move.
it because there was like a fat schlub in the beginning who was like, they're like, the bathrooms are, what is the restrooms?
The restrooms are unavailable, temporarily unavailable, and it just cuts to this fat schlub with
It was Sky Davis from Doug on his shirt doing like a handstand on a skateboard.
What do you mean temporarily?
So
fuck do you think he
that is a good point though, because like if you take Friday the 13th Part 5 and hold it up to something like Memorial Valley Massacre,
Part 5 kills it.
yeah, it excels.
Oh, yeah.
But if you hold it up to Part 4, it fucking tanks.
Yeah,
It's very middling.
Very true.
interesting.
4 is ideal.
It's the best of the
Got some
series.
Crispin Glover death.
Best death in the whole series right there.
Where's the corkscrew?
Spin and smash.
We decided we couldn't cover 4 because it was just too good
Yeah,
to be on here.
we just decided to focus on 5 for the most part. And the series in general.
Let me see if I have any other favorite parts.
Any other favorite parts?
There's a sword fight involving a chainsaw and a machete.
That is great.
That is
news.
pretty cool. I like
yes.
that.
I like
was good.
because they even had fun with it with the sound too. There was totally like sword clanking noises.
Vi doing the robot was fantastic.
Oh yeah,
All the dance sequences.
Yes.
One of the best parts of the movie.
The song playing was like this sweet like goth rock song from the 80s, which you don't usually hear in
What was
movies.
the name of the band?
Pseudo Echo.
Pseudo Echo.
Yeah, I'm checking that out when I get home because that song was fucking awesome.
It's a great song. Another part that I really like, I think the acting is pretty good. I think the acting overall, and coincidentally, not the lead roles, except for Reggie. Like I think all
the
like
supporting.
the bit part actors are all really good.
They
the lead
are.
role, Tommy Jarvis, that actor sucked. I think he sucked.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well, he didn't suck, but he wasn't good.
He was very like not emotive
Yeah,
Very
at
wooden,
all.
yeah.
Yeah, everything was just like same face.
for like a traumatized Jason Voorhees survivor, he did a bad job.
He had 2 emotions, normal and sweaty.
Yeah, right. Punching and crying. That's about it.
Yeah, he was awful.
All right, so let's rate it then.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with
Yeah,
fuck
I'm gonna
you.
have to give it an unfortunate fuck off.
Oh my god, my fucking
Fuck
father.
you.
Fuck you.
A fucking fine. Fuck yeah! So we're gonna go ahead and rate this movie. We'll explain the rating system. So
I need to know about it.
Yes,
So.
it's pretty simple. Fuck you is the worst. Fuck off is
You.
whatever, and fuck
All
yeah
right.
is good.
Or if you thought it like if it's a movie that's just bizarre, you can do what the fuck.
Yeah,
or-
you can say what the fuck. You can say fucking fine. You can just
Okay. I want to think about it for a bit.
all
I
right.
was gonna
So
say I'm kind of torn. Like
you know
I
what?
want to give it a fuck yeah, ironically,
all right.
because I
I
do.
know I don't want to give it a fuck yeah.
because I do enjoy it. But I think I'll just have to give it a fuck off for the 2 facts that I do enjoy it. So I won't give it a fuck you, and it's not awful. So I won't give it a fuck you, but it's not great. So I can't give it a fuck yeah.
Fair enough. So fuck off. What, Eric? What do you got?
I'm gonna go with a fucking fine.
Fucking fine.
I don't really have like a history with these movies, so I don't have like any kind of like, oh, why did they not make it Jason? So I don't really have that going into this.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I do have a problem with Part 5s in general, with Die Hard, Rocky, and Death Wish 5 all being miserable fucking movies. So I wasn't expecting much out of this.
There wasn't a Die Hard 5.
Oh yeah,
What are you
right.
talking
No, I never
about? I
really
don't,
saw
I
it.
don't remember
Yeah,
seeing
Because
that.
if they
I don't
had
remember
made it, it would be
It
terrible.
probably would have been really bad.
Do any of them really even matter except for the first one? 2?
Three's
1
good.
and 2?
Three.
Three's good.
Three's decent.
Okay.
It doesn't
Samuel
start falling
L.
off afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Does somebody get kicked in that movie? Or
I think someone gets kicked in every movie.
I know. Is there an explosion? Glass?
That guy curses a lot, right? But yeah, going into it, I wasn't expecting a whole lot. I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
I would watch it again if someone asked me to.
Fun at the very least.
Yeah,
For
I had a good
first
time.
viewing.
Excellent.
Nice.
Are you prepared?
Yeah. So probably as the person with the most affinity for the series and with the most history, I've seen them all. I've seen some of them in the theater during their run. I'm gonna go with fuck you off. I mean, Jason,
off, yo.
it's really close to the worst movie in the series, guys. I promise.
It's certainly the second worst.
In my opinion, it is the second worst. It has a lot of awesome shit in the grand scheme of like horror culture, but as far as like continuity to the rest of the series, it has nothing to do with any of the others. It's following the best of the series, and I mean the production quality is significantly lower. The special effects suck. There's a lot of bad shit going on in this movie. I can't get really farther than like torn between the two lower ratings. Fuck off and fuck you. That's all I got.
I support that. The
Yeah.
really only two redeeming qualities for this movie is that the bit parts are great and the dialogue is absurd but hilarious.
It's such a weird movie in the grand scheme of all the Friday the 13th too.
It is.
It doesn't fit anywhere in the series.
It's like funny,
but like,
probably unintentionally.
like it's like the blackest humor ever. I don't know. It's a strange movie.
Yeah, it definitely feels weird.
like getting
I know you like it.
like getting axe murdered for offering someone a chocolate bar.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that
That
very
is the
weird.
impetus of our whole movie.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
that
really
is
threw me
You
off.
got
true.
axe murdered over a chocolate bar,
That's
and then
a
it
catalyst.
caused all of this.
Chain reaction.
See what happens?
Just take the fuck on chocolate.
I know, right? If you had just eaten that chocolate bar, none of this would have happened.
Yeah, he didn't even get it on your clothes, dude.
Stupid Joey. Tom, what do you rate this movie?
I'm gonna give this movie a fuck yeah. I enjoy this movie. The first time I watched this movie, I had a blast watching it. And I feel like it's a really nice, you can ease your way into crappy movies by watching this.
Definitely.
Like if you say this is the worst movie you've ever seen,
Oh, you
but
haven't
you
seen a bad movie.
then you haven't seen a bad movie. And then if you want to start watching bad movies, you have this tolerance that you've built using
You
this
ain't
one.
seen nothing.
Yeah. And,
I when I rated it myself, I only rated it within the confines of the series, I should say.
okay, fantastic.
That's fair.
Yeah.
It's a fair
If
assessment.
it was a standalone movie, like I said earlier, I think I would rate it higher. But given what it is,
Yeah, you can't get over that.
No, I can totally respect that.
I mean, there's way shittier movies. Way shittier movies.
We've watched way shittier movies like this week.
Yeah.
This movie
I fell
is.
asleep watching one an hour ago.
So, any final thoughts about this movie? Anything we want to squeak in here before we wrap it up?
No, I feel nothing important.
You feel nothing.
I wrote some stuff down, but it's nothing that
Wrong.
needs to be said.
I
Rubber spiders. There we go.
There it is.
I want to bring up a movie that the director directed besides this movie that I think everyone in the world should check out because it's really, really good. It's called Savage Streets with Linda Blair. Give it a spin. Give it a spin.
Yeah.
Linda Blair's deaf little sister gets raped, and then
Oh,
she
jeez.
gang raped.
It's
Whoa,
worse
this
'cause
gets
she's
worse
deaf.
and worse.
Then Linda Blair goes and like tracks them down with a bow and arrow and
What?
explodes them and rapes them.
Whoa.
It's a really bizarre movie. It's a really good movie. It's a super exploitation movie. But it's really good. It's a
Like,
fun.
spit on your grave.
Yeah, but not as intense. I guess I made it sound a little more intense than it is.
It's more like on the level
Family
of like.
friendly.
yeah. That's a good way to put it. With Linda Blair.
Starring
I was gonna say maybe on the level of
America's
like
sweetheart.
maybe on the level of like a Death Wish 2 in terms of like violence. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. It's higher brow than Spit on Your Grave, but
I'm going to write that down. Thanks for the suggestions.
yeah, no problem.
All right, you've been listening to Second Class Cinema. We watched Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning, and we actually were all over the place about this movie. A lot of different opinions about
Across
it.
the board.
Yeah. So that doesn't happen all the time, so that's excellent.
Wow.
We watched it on DVD. It's not on Netflix. It's the only one that's not on Netflix, by the way. They have
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8.
Someone's trying to tell you something.
Yeah. I was appalled by that, actually.
That's really weird.
I know.
Like, somebody does want this movie to see the light of day.
Yeah.
Well, did you see it?
Here it is, America.
That says it all. Well,
Okay, if you'd like more information, head on over to Facebook, facebook.com/secondclasscinema. We're on YouTube, Twitter, at 2ND Class Podcast, the number 2ND Class Podcast, Stitcher, iTunes, everywhere. Anywhere else, guys?
GeoCities.
GeoCities. Anywhere else we could possibly be?
no.
Anyone?
We're
No?
good.
All right.
News group.
Check us out on Usenet.
Yeah, right.
Podcast.second.class.cinema.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you for
thanks
being
for
here.
coming.
Fun.
It's
I
great
thought
to have,
of you immediately because I know how much you love this series and how knowledgeable you are.
It's a good series, except for this one.
I know. Sorry we put you through that. Like,
No,
hey, we're going to
no.
watch one of these, but it's going to be this one.
I was like, do you want to come on for this movie? But you could totally come on for another movie at a
Maybe
later date.
we'll just have to wait and see.
All right, that's it, everyone.
Happy Friday the 13th.
Happy Friday the 13th, and moving on with Cult Month next week.
You scared of spiders? You scared of rubber spiders? You scared of rubber spiders on strings? Man, you are one scared cat.